Okay, good morning, everybody. Good afternoon. This is Yoel Cortex, Senior Librarian at Ex Libris. It is March 28th, 2023, and this is session 7 of our ongoing series on analytics objects. And what are we going to be discussing today? This is part of the Analytics Become an Expert series, and this is session 7 of that series. Let's just take a look at the whole session just so we can see where we are in the larger picture here. So we've got the whole, we're almost done actually. There's a total of 8 sessions, although one session we're doing again. In any case, we began with an overview and introduction. Then we started talking specifically about let me close that. Then we started talking ooh, is this 2 windows going here? Sorry about that. I'm going to stop the sharing and start it again. Okay. So then we started talking about the different subject areas. We began with physical inventory and fulfillment. Then we went on to electronic inventory, usage, and acquisitions. Then we started talking about using specific parts of analytics. We talked about creating and managing dashboards, then creating and managing prompts. This is the session that we're going to be doing again. There was an issue with the WebEx. I saw that I believe 40 people last time I checked already signed up for the Tuesday, April 11 redo of this session. Because we had WebEx problems in this session 5, we're rescheduling it. And you can register here for the Tuesday, April 11 session. Then we talked about last week filters and functions, and now we're talking about analytics objects. And let me just explain briefly that we will be discussing this within the new analytics interface. The new analytics interface is going to be fully live in May. It's already being used by several users, if not the majority. I will show how to activate it if you haven't already. So we'll be showing the regular analytics objects plus the new things about the analytics objects, which are in the new interface. That's the report URL and the DV workbook. Those are new in the new interface. So we will be showing those. And without further ado, let's take a look here. I am now, if I click analytics here, this is the new interface. If I want to switch between the old and the new interface, every user can come and click over here, his or her icon. On the top here, you have an icon that looks like a person that if you click it, it'll give the name of the logged in user. If you click that, there's an option here for feature rollout configuration. And there you can turn on or off the new analytics. I'm going to turn it off for a minute. So I unchecked it. And now you'll see when I click analytics, I will have the old interface. Here I am in the old interface. And then I'm going to click it again. And again, go to feature rollout configuration. And now I'm going to activate it. It's just a matter of clicking that toggle button. Now I'm using the new analytics. And now if I click analytics, I will see the new interface. With access analytics instead of design analytics, my favorites appear here and they're called favorites and I can move them around like this. So that's how you get to the new interface. I'm just going to stop and look at the chat for one moment just to see if there's any questions or comments on that, and then we're going to jump right in. So I'm going to the chat. Doesn't look like there's any questions or comments. Great. Okay. So the first one we're going to talk about, as it states here, is using a DV workbook as an Alma homepage. What does that mean? It means I can create a DV workbook. DV is the data visualization. Let's go in there from scratch. I can make a workbook. It's called a workbook and not a report. In analytics, it's called a report. In data visualization, it's called a workbook. So I can create the workbook, and then I can use that to be my home page here. Up until now, the home page could include these, which are analytics widgets. We're going to talk about those as well today. We can now take an entire data visualization workbook and make that an analytics object, which will be a home page. So let's go into data visualization. I clicked analytics and data visualization. This goes into Alma data visualization. This one here, which says access data visualization parentheses Primo, goes to the Primo data visualization. That's for anyone who has Primo V, which is the vast majority. However, for those who are in Primo Classic, also called sometimes Primo Back Office, data visualization does not exist for that. In any case, so now I'm in the data visualization. We're going to make a very basic workbook because our goal here is not to show data visualization right now. Our goal is to show a data visualization workbook and how we can then make that a home page in Alma. So I'm going to click create here to create the workbook, create workbook, and I'll choose a subject area. Let's say let's take the title subject area. Title subject area, by the way, just as a little side note, that's the most popular subject area. We see where people are running reports in what subject area. Titles is the most popular, followed by physical items, followed by fulfillment. But that's just a side note. So let's say here I want to display the number of titles that have a physical item. And I'll make this a table so I can put more in there. And I'll say I want the number of titles with electronic portfolios. And let's say I also want the number of titles with digital representations. Okay. And let's duplicate this one and we'll make a pie and that'll be enough for us. So I'll duplicate this visualization. This one here, I'll make it a pie or even a donut, whatever we decide. Let's say here. I'm sorry. There we go. Let's make it a donut even. Donut. Okay. And let's put these in the colors. Okay. So now we have a table, very basic table. Let's actually make this table a pivot table, so it'll go the opposite direction. Okay. So let's save this. And then we're going to make this. I know it's not a most intricate data visualization workbook, but like I said, our goal here is to show how we can make this be the homepage in Alma. Another day we can talk about data visualization. We have had several sessions on data visualization. So first we're going to save it. So I'm clicking the save. Now I need to remember exactly where it's saved because when we create the analytics object, we need to go to it. Now a important tip is to keep all of your analytics objects in one folder with subfolders, because what happens is people have them scattered around their directory structure, and then someone can come along and rename it or delete it, and then the analytics object in Alma will not work. I'll explain that as we go. If I come into Alma University here, which is the name of my institution, and I come to reports, I've created two directories. One is called analytics objects and one is called DV objects. And everything that I use for the analytics objects, I save in those directories. And then I know not to go change them without first changing the analytics object. So this is a DV one. So I'm going to go into DV objects and I'm going to save it here. And I'll call this inventory breakdown. So now we have a DV object. Now in analytics, we're going to create the analytics object, and then we're going to add it as a home page here. So the home page will be the Alma home page. It will replace this page, which has the widgets. So under Analytics, we're going to access the Analytics objects list. And we're going to create a new one. So we'll say Add New Analytics Objects. I'm on the top right here. And we'll say, what's the folder? Now, it's going to be very easy now to find that folder because I can just write DV and I get right to that folder. I don't need to start going through all of my folder lists. I can just start typing because I called it DV objects. And now here's the one we just made, inventory breakdown. And now how do I want to display this? I can call it inventory breakdown. By default, the display name of all of the objects automatically gets the same name as the report or the workbook. So I'll click Save. And I'm going to go into this section here, which I can either click the pencil to edit. This is the summary section, or I can double click it. So I'm going to give it a description also. So we'll see later where that description is as well. This is a breakdown of the number of titles which have different kinds of inventory. Okay, there's probably a couple of spelling mistakes in there, but we'll have to either fix them or deal with it anyway. Okay. I'll save this. Now we have users. We have to define which users will be able to use this. So we define that by what roles do they have. I can either hard code a specific user to give access here where it says add user, or if I say add roles, I'm going to say inventory, and I'm going to take all of these that have the different inventory operators. So right now, anyone who has one of these roles will be able to see this inventory breakdown object in the various places, which is the favorites and the dashboard. Now, if I want this to be a dashboard, which we do, then we click here, Add as Dashboard. So now it's defined to be a dashboard for anybody who has any of these roles, and it's called Inventory Breakdown. Okay, let's save it now. Everything is saved. You can see up here, as we go along, it gets saved. And let's see if we can use it now. We don't have to define roles. If we don't define roles, then only people who will be added as a user here, hard-coded as a user, will be able to see it. But it's kind of useless if we don't define that roles. We don't have to add users. I didn't add users now. Okay, so now we have the workbook defined in an analytics object. I'm going to sign out and sign in as two other people right now, just because I want to show regarding the access here. I'm going to show two users before we begin. I'm going to look at a user called Ellie Mae Clampett. And this user only has a role, which is circulation desk operator. So this person should not be able to see it. In fact, I'm going to write that down on the side, just so we remember, because along the way, we can use both of these users. So we have Ellie Mae Clampett. She has circulation desk operator. And then we have another user. Let's make that a capital. And let's go into our other user, Susan Aarons, and take a look at her. This one here. She has all of the inventory roles. The ones we gave this object. So she has all of these inventory roles. And if you recall, that's what we put in the object. I'm going to show that again. If I say analytics, analytics objects list, the one that we made is called inventory breakdown. Here it is. And this has these roles. I can view that bigger this way. It has these roles, the same roles that Susan Aron has. So Susan Aarons has all of the inventory roles. So Susan should be able to see this analytics object. Ellie Mae Clampett, no. Let's give it a try. So I'm going to start by logging in as Ellie Mae Clampett. So there we are as Ellie Mae. And the way a user can add a DV workbook dashboard to their homepage is as follows. You click Analytics, then you go to My Homepage, and then you choose from here. We do see inventory breakdown. I'm going to have to see why we see inventory breakdown. So she chose inventory breakdown. And that's how she can add this to her homepage. We're going to check why she's able to see it. I'm going to have to check that. So now here it is. And now this is her homepage. Let's go into Susan Aarons. And let's also add this one. So again, the way to add an analytics object as a dashboard, I'm an end user now, is to say analytics. On the top here is the definition of the homepage. And here's the inventory breakdown. And now okay. And now the dashboard is the analytics, the data visualization workbook that we just made. If this user now were to come along and do a search, for example, or loan an item or do anything else in Alma, then they would get to whatever relevant screen there is. And then when they click the icon on the top left, which we'll do in a moment, they will get back to that homepage. So I'm going to click up here on the icon on the top left, which brings me to my Alma homepage, and I get that data visualization workbook. Let's check something while we're here. I'm going to go back in as Alicia. Then I'm going to stop and see if there's any questions and review this via the PowerPoint, and then we'll move on. I just want to check something very carefully here. If we go into the analytics objects list and into here, this is our analytics object. So this is defined as, this is hours, inventory breakdown. These are it's digital inventory, physical inventory, okay. And then we have the user, Ellie Mae. Okay, I'm going to have to see why Ellie Mae is able to see that in the dashboard. Okay, let's go in and see if there's any questions or comments so far. Into the chat. Don't see any. Let's review the PowerPoint and just make sure we covered everything. So, I went all the way to the end. Okay. So we have a sample data visualization workbook. It's actually similar to the one we made with a pie, a donut, and a table. We saved it in a directory called DV objects. Then we went into the analytics objects list. We added a new analytics object, and we defined the folder it's from, the name of the workbook. We made sure to check here that it's a dashboard. And then when an end user came in, they went to the Alma homepage and they chose that, and then that became their homepage. By the way to put this back, if a user no longer wants this to be their Alma homepage, they can, I'm going to switch with this user also to the data visualization workbook as my homepage. Then I'm going to change it. So to make a data visualization workbook be the homepage, we said you click on analytics, go here, and then choose whichever one you want. If at a later date I decide I want either a different homepage or I want to go back to the standard Alma homepage, then I can come again to analytics and this time choose Alma homepage. And now I'm back to the traditional Alma homepage. Okay, let's see if there's any questions or comments now, and if not, we're going to move on. Okay, there are some questions. Someone says, what Alma roles do I need to have analytics objects list? Analytics administrator. You need the role analytics administrator in order to see the analytics objects list. Okay, making sure I didn't define any. Okay, if I didn't miss any, it doesn't look like I missed any. Okay, so let's move on now to creating a scheduled report from an Alma Analytics report to be sent to Alma users, non-Alma users, or an FTP server. So again, let's make a very basic report. And I know I could have had these in advance already ready. On purpose, I want to show nothing's already there, and that's why it's working. We're checking, we're doing everything live. So we're going to go into analytics now and create a report, which will be a scheduled report. So we're going to access the analytics. And let's create a very basic report. We'll say create analysis. Let's make overdue items. So we'll go into fulfillment. And we'll get all active loans. So let's go into loan details and get the status. Or better yet, we'll just search for it. That'll be faster. Loan status. We're going to say the loan status filter is active, meaning it hasn't been returned yet. We don't need to display it. They're all active. And then we'll get the barcode from the loan. Then we'll get the title from the bibliographic details. And let's get the loan date. And let's get the return date, or due date, excuse me. It hasn't been returned. And let's say the due date filter is less than the current date. Okay, so now we have all overdue loans. Let's make sure that works, and then we'll save it. Okay, great. Everything has a due date earlier than today. Wonderful. Let's just sort this by due date. Let's sort it descending by due date. Okay. And now we'll save it. Again, we're going to save it in a dedicated folder. When I say dedicated, I mean dedicated to analytics objects, so we can easily find it. So let's save this. And let's put this now under analytics objects. And let's go in the reports. And we'll call this overdue loans. Now, let's say I want to send this as a scheduled report to users either daily, weekly, monthly, etc., or I want to send it to an FTP server, either way. So we access the analytics objects list again. And again, we're going to create a new analytics object. And now we have reports objects here. That's where we saved it. And we called it overdue loans, OV, there we are. Display name will keep the same. And let's say here now, I'm going to click up on this upper section so that I can edit. And I'm going to make a description here. This is a list of all active loans with a due date earlier than today. Okay, I'm not even going to fix the spelling. Our main point is to be able to see where this appears soon. Again, let's give some roles. We're going to say add roles. And this time we will say circulation desk operator. And we'll also say, okay, just circulation desk operator. That's all right. Save. It's a scheduled report. So now we're going to click this scheduled report. And once we click that, we get the option to schedule it. So the recurrence pattern, the hourly is not really relevant for analytics. It's not relevant at all for analytics. As you know, and as we discussed in one of the earlier sessions, the ETL, which is the extract, transform, load, the export from Alma to analytics, is something that occurs once a day. So sending a report hourly is meaningless because for 24 hours, it will be the same report. So let's send it daily even. So we can send this every 1 day. And the next time we're going to send it, what's today? Tuesday? I'm not even sure. We'll assume today is Tuesday. So the next one we'll say send it next time on Wednesday. And then we can choose the time. Now, typically it's a good idea to choose a time, which is when your ETL finishes. We spoke about the ETL times in the first session. Here on the bottom, let me make this larger so people can see. Here on the bottom, when we go into analytics, it says data available as of, data updated as of. So the ETL finished this morning at 3:38. And if that's typical, then instead of sending it at 3 in the morning, send it at 4 in the morning, so we'll have all of the previous day's data. If this was sent at 3 a.m., it wouldn't have the data from yesterday. It would have the data from 2 days ago. So it's best to send it after the ETL finishes. That's in the data available as of here on the bottom. Okay. So let's send it at 8 o'clock. I'm not going to do the FTP now. I'm going to show it in a moment, and we'll send it as an attachment. Save. If I want to make someone else automatically receive this, either an Alma user or a non-Alma user, I can do that here under Manage Subscription. So I can say that I want, for example, let's let that load. I can say I want add row. Any user in my system to be able to receive this. For example, Ellie Mae Clampett. And if I want to send this to someone who is not a user in my institution, then I can click Add Row. And in the preferred email, just type anything else. For example, Daphne at the library, ACNZ. And now it'll go to that address. So here it'll go to whatever is the user's address in Alma. And here it'll go to this library. This email. Save. In addition, any user can come in. I'm Alicia Chen now, as we see here. So I can come and subscribe to this if I say Analytics, Analytics Objects List. And from the Analytics Objects List, let me go back to the list. From the Analytics Objects List, I can sort by all of those, I can filter by all of those that are scheduled reports. What I added here is scheduled report. So if I say badges scheduled, I get all of the scheduled reports. And if I want to subscribe to it, then I can open it. I clicked it. I opened it. It's in Split Editor. I can move it to be on full screen or whatever. And here I can subscribe. Right here where it says subscribe to the analytics objects, I'll click subscribe. And now I'm subscribed. I'm going to stop sharing for 1 second on purpose because I want to show something else. And to get into where I'm sharing, I want to just stop for a minute. So bear with me for 1 second. And okay, hold on. Okay, I'm sharing again. And thank you for bearing with me. Okay. So what happens is those get sent, and I have here examples of reports that have gotten sent. So for example, here's one called POL details. It's being sent here as a PDF. I know someone asked if it can be sent in other formats. We're going to talk about that in a minute. So it arrives to the user, and the user can get the PDF. Let me go back here. I see some chats came in. Let me just show a few more things. Going back to the analytics objects list now. So this is the one we made, the overdue loans. So here, where it says PDF, I'm going to click that, and I can change it to other formats. So we can send it as Excel, text, CSV, or a link. We're going to be talking more about the links soon, but instead of getting an actual PDF, it will send a link, which will be the link to the report. So that's how we can change the format. Again, to change the format, because somebody asked the question, I just click on that format, and then I get the option here to choose one of these. If I want to send this to an FTP server, we can also do that. You click to open it, and then if we choose FTP, then we choose what is the FTP server that we want. These are the different FTP servers we have here, and then it gets sent to the FTP server in whatever format we have there. Okay, I'm going to come look at the questions. So let me go into the chat for a moment. Okay. So someone said, okay, they see about the chat, the changing the format. Someone asks if I'm gone. I hope you hear me still. I'm here. Someone asks with the schedule, if you want a report to be sent every weekday, can you use the weekly recurrence pattern and recur every 1 week and just select those days? They do seem to be check boxes rather than radio buttons. Let's make sure I understand what you're talking about. If I understand correctly, you want it to be sent Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or whatever your weekdays are. So let's take a look. If we come to the scheduling, so I'm going to scroll up a tad. This is my schedule. Let me close all this. I can't see. Okay. Overdue loans. Okay. Internal use. Oops. Let's go back to the whole list. Okay. Schedule. Okay, so I'm going to click here the recurrence pattern. No, it's still going to be daily. These are radio buttons, and the reason the radio buttons, it's not what day is it are you going to send it, it's when is the next time I want to send it. Because, for example, if the job runs every day at 5 and it is now Tuesday, it might be that I don't want to send it tonight. I want it to start on a daily occurrence. I want it to start on Wednesday. It's not Sunday. It's not work days or not non-weekends. It's either daily, weekly, monthly, or not sending. So we can't say only Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They'll have to get 2 other emails, which they can either ignore or use in any case. Okay, let's see if there's any other questions there. If you change it to weekly, 1 week is check boxes, 2 weeks. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. So I'm going to change it to weekly. Oh, okay. All right. I get what you're saying. Yes. Yes. Okay. Yes, you can do that. All right. I'm sorry for the misunderstanding. Yes. If you want to send it weekly, it will be like that. Yes. Okay. Let me see if there's any others. I'm going to scroll up a tad. Someone asks, when you add a user role to a scheduled report, so all users with that role receive it, or do you have to specify individual users? When we add a role here, this means now that only a user with role circulation desk operator can sign up for this. Let's test it. Okay, so this has circulation desk operator, and I'm going to sign out. So I will say sign out. I'm going to go in as another user, the user we saw before, who is Susan Arons, who has all of the inventory roles. And she comes to the analytics objects list, or shared with me. We'll talk about the share with me later. And that was called overdue loans. So she doesn't even see it because she doesn't have the role circulation desk operator. However, Ellie Mae Clampett, as we saw, does have the circulation desk operator. So let's try Ellie Mae Clampett now. So Susan Arons will sign out. Ellie Mae Clampett will sign in. And Ellie Mae Clampett will do the same thing, go to the shared with me. And she does see the overdue loans that we just made. So if a user does not have one of the roles that is defined in the report, they will not be able to do anything with it. Okay, let's see if that answers the question, all the chats. Okay, it looks like it does. Okay, so let's move on. We're doing good for the time here. We're halfway done. I don't usually take breaks during these sessions. As you know, there's a session also for Europe and the Americas, two other sessions. They take a break in the middle. Do you people want a break? I'm fine without one, but if you want a 5-minute break, okay, someone said no, someone else said no, and someone else said no. Okay, so we're not going to do a break. Okay, so let's move on. So we did the DV workbook as the homepage. We did the create a scheduled report. Now a widget. So a widget is used when the Alma homepage is being used and not a data visualization workbook. So let's make a widget like we made a scheduled report, like we made a data visualization workbook. We'll make a widget and then we will add it to our dashboard. These are widgets here, these things here that are opening up. So let's go to analytics now. I believe I'm already in, but I'm going to go in fresh because I kept switching users. So analytics, access analytics. And let's create a report, an analysis, excuse me. The official word is analysis. Let's continue our theme of the titles subject area. Typically, a widget is something small enough to fit on the screen like these. It's not a whole big report. So let's continue also our theme of the inventory breakdown. So let's say I want titles with physical items, titles with electronic portfolios. That's enough for me. And let's go to the results. And let's make this a pie or leave it as a table. We'll see. Let's say we want a pie. Here we don't have a donut. Did I just choose pie? Oh, there it is. Okay, now we have to play around with it to make it look good. It's taking the two different measures, displaying them separately. So let's go into this pencil here. And let's put these here. Or, nope. Okay, let's do, something a little simpler. We don't want to spend too much time on this part. Our goal here is showing in analytics. I mean, showing how to do the widget, not how to create the report. So we don't want to waste time on that. Let's do something very simple. And let's get the users who have made loans, and let's get their user group and their number of loans. Okay, so we have user group, and we have number of loans. Okay, and let's just take the top 3. So we have a nice looking pie. And we'll say number of loans filter is in top 3. Okay, so now we'll have like a basic pie. Okay, we don't need this. We don't need the table. Let's save it. And let's say we'll save this now under reports widgets. Again, it's just so it's very easy to find later. This is an important tip. Institutions often have very many directories, and there might be a directory called John Smith, fulfillment, reports, and then there's a widget in there. And then one day, someone might forget that that was made into a widget and go change it or delete it or rename it, and then there can be a problem. And then also, it can take a long time to find it when creating the widget. So it's a good idea to keep them all in one place. So we will call this top 3 user groups for loans. Okay. Now, we don't need to display the title as part of the report here. And I'm going to show why later, but I'm going to remove the, you know what? I'm going to leave it and then we'll remove it and you'll see why. It'll be more effective that way. Usually in a widget, we don't want it so wide. So instead of having this thing here, which is called the legend, we can specify within the pie what each color represents. And we can do that as follows. We'll click the properties, the pencil. We'll start with the pencil. And here where it says show it in legend, we'll get rid of that. Boom. So now there's no legend. That means it's going to be smaller, which means it'll fit more nicely on here. This one does have a legend. We'll see the difference in a moment. Now we can say in here how many each value is. We'll click the properties. Then we got titles and labels and the data markers. So here we'll say always display not the percentage, but the actual value. All right. Now, also, we want to make this smaller. Typically, 400 by 250 is a good size. I'm going to click this properties here. This is the default 640. I'm going to say 400, and we can play around with it as well. 250. Okay, saved. Now let's see what happens when we're going to add it. And we're going to get rid of the title, but let's see why we're going to get rid of the title. And maybe we'll also want to play around with the size a bit. Oh, that just gave me the amounts. We still need the names. So let's say name and value. Okay. So let's go into Alma. And now we're going to create an analytics object of type widget. To put everything in perspective, first we created a DV workbook, then we created a DV homepage, then we added it to the homepage. Then we created a DV, then we created a report, and we made that a scheduled report. Then someone subscribed to it. Now we made a widget in analytics. Now we're going to create the object for the widget. So we'll come to analytics and the analytics objects list. And just like before, we're going to say add a new analytics object. And now we'll go to the widgets objects. And then we'll choose patrons. What did we call it? Patrons by user group pie. Actually, no, we call it top 3 user groups for loans. Let's go back. Yeah, top 3 user groups for loans. And let's say which people will be able to access this. Let's say the fulfillment users. And let's say circulation desk people. Okay, so anyone with one of those roles will be able to see this. We're not going to make it a scheduled report. And that should do it. Now we're going to click here, add as widget. Previously, we did add as dashboard, and previously we checked the scheduled report here. And something can be a scheduled report and a widget. You can use them both. So we're all set. It's called top 3 user group for loans. Save. Everything's done. So now someone wants to add this to their dashboard. Ellie Mae Clampett can add this to her dashboard because she has circulation desk operator. So let's sign out and go in as Ellie Mae Clampett. The adding of the widget to the dashboard by the staff user, that's the same. That hasn't changed. And for that, first of all, she's got to go back to the Alma homepage because you can't add a widget with a DV workbook. So she'll switch back to the Alma homepage. And now to add a widget, she'll click up here. And here's the top 3 user group for loans. Now she's got it. And here it is. Now, why did I say we should get rid of the title? Because we have the name here, top 3 user group for loans. This is from the name of the analytics object. This is from the title in the analytics object, in the actual widget. So let's get rid of that one. We'll get rid of that title there, the second one. It'll be more clear when we actually do it. So I'll go in again as a user who can go into analytics. Alicia. Alicia will also add this as a widget, so we'll be able to easily see the changes without logging in as another user. So I'll click this plus. I'll choose that widget also. And now let's fix it. We want to get rid of the title. I think we can make it a little wider also. What we want to prevent is that it's so high or wide that we need the scroll bar, but we can make that a little wider. So we'll go into analytics and we'll go to that widget. So I'm clicking the catalog. Easy to find because they're all properly named. Here it is. So the way we can get rid of the title is simply to click here. I'm going to save it here so we can see the difference. Okay, everybody sees that here we have this and we have the actual title. I'm going to refresh because I saved the analytics side. Now we only have the title once. So on a widget, it's more aesthetic to not have the title appear inside the analytics. Otherwise, you've got it appearing twice. Now let's make it a little wider. I'll click here on the properties. And instead of 400, let's make it 475. Save. Back here, let's refresh. Nice. So now we got a nice widget here. It's taking up much more of the screen. Let's even make it 500. Living on the edge. Save that. Refresh. And now we get a nice widget there. Now, if I were Susan Aarons, I shouldn't see this. Why? Let's go into the analytics objects list. Analytics objects list. Here we have these roles. None of them say inventory in them. And if we look at user Susan Aarons, she has only ones with inventory something. So she shouldn't be able to see this. Let's log in as her and see what happens. So Alicia signs out. Susan comes in, clicks the plus on the top right in order to be able to add a widget. Well, first we have to go back to our Alma homepage. So we'll say Alma homepage. Click the plus, and we don't see the top 3 user groups for loans. It would be right down here after P, because she doesn't have the roles for that. Okay, let's see if we covered everything here. We're on how to create a widget, and then we'll stop for questions. So we created something, a widget. We made a pie. We went into the analytics objects list and added the new analytics object. We saw the report, the folder, etc. We made sure within the object we did add as widget. And then we added the roles which we thought were appropriate for that. Because it relates to fulfillment, the one we did, we added roles around fulfillment. Then a user came in, clicked the plus, chose it, and then it was on his or her homepage. Okay, let's see if there are questions. Let me close these PowerPoints. Okay. Chat. Okay, someone says, isn't it better to use only one scale pixel by creating the widgets because the other people who add this widget will use different displays? Okay, tell me where you mean. When I go into here, I'm going to say analytics. Who am I logged in as? Let me go back in as Alicia. Alicia's the all-powerful user here with roles for analytics administrator and designs analytics. So if I want to go play around with the analytics objects or go into analytics, I need to be logged in as Alicia. So I'm going to go into analytics and show me where you're talking about. We want to say Access Analytics. And if there's a better way to do it, that would be great. So this is the one we made. And I clicked on the properties. And then I did this. So what was, let me read your comment again. So the comment says, isn't it better to use only one scale pixel by creating the widgets because the other people who will add this widget use different displays? Well, I have to choose some kind of a size here. I can't say make it a certain size depending on their screen, as far as I know. So I define the pixels. Even one person, me for example, when I show this with in the olden days with a projector, nowadays it's less, but when this gets hooked up to a projector or a screen, sometimes the widgets appear a little differently and I need to do control minus or control plus to change my whole resolution, but I'm not understanding the question. If you want to clarify, go ahead, but you have to choose some kind of pixels here. Typically, the height of 250 is good. The width 400, 500 is good. If there's something else, feel free to write in more in the chat. Okay, let's see if anybody else has a question or comment. I don't see any. A wide screen contra a small tablet. I still have to choose some kind of a size here. I can't not choose a size and say, do it according to your screen. All right. So let's go on. Okay, so next, favorites in the report URL. Okay, the report URL is a really nice thing. And the favorites in the report URL are unique to the new interface that we're in now. So in order to get organized here, because I want to show something about the favorites, we have our two users here. Let's take that Susan Aarons. I want to do something slightly different to show about her. Susan Aarons. Okay, these are her roles. I just want to take a picture of her roles. Okay, copy. So this is Susan Aarons. Oh, that really can't be read very well. Let's do this. She has these roles. Okay, now we can read it. Ellie Mae Clampett. Edit. Ellie Mae Clampett has circulation desk operator and patron only. These two. Now, that means when someone adds a favorite, they do it via something called shared from me that we will see in a moment. And that the ones that are shared with them are only the objects that have a role that they also have. I'm going to do an example here so we'll see exactly what we're talking about. Let's go back to our analytics objects list. And let's take this one here called overdue loans, which we already played around with, but we're going to see another way to link to it. So overdue loans has role circulation desk operator only. Overdue loans has this. And we'll take one more. Let's say item top 3 user group for loans. Fine. Top 3 user group for loans. Let's take a different one we made. This one. This is from a different session, but this is a great example. This is inventory breakdown evening session. If any of you were in the roadmap themes webinar series where we talked about the new UI, will perhaps recall this. Actually, you're probably in the morning session. This is from the evening session. But in any case, so this object has these roles. What does this mean? So the user, Ellie Mae Clampett, has circulation desk operator. She should be able to see overdue loans because she has that role. She shouldn't be able to see object inventory evening session. So I'm going to say, because here we don't have circulation desk operator. So I'm going to say no, Ellie Mae Clampett. Yes, Susan Aarons. Why yes, Susan Arons? Because Susan Arons has, for example, CDI inventory operator, and here we have CDI inventory operator. And then we have the opposite for the other one. This object has circulation desk operator. Susan Arons doesn't have circulation desk operator, but Ellie Mae Clampett does. So here we'll have yes, Ellie Mae Clampett, and no to Susan Arons. I want to make sure what I just stated is clear because it's a basic fundamental part of sharing analytics reports, widgets, dashboards, everything. Okay, someone raised their hand. I'm just going to make sure no one has a question. I mean, someone did a thumbs up. Okay, so I'm assuming that's clear to everybody. Nobody raised a question. So let's talk about the shared with me now. And let's see how it works. So I'm going to go in now as Susan. So I will sign out of Alicia and I'll go in as Susan. Okay, now if Susan wants to see on a regular basis via her own initiative, she can go to analytics and shared with me. Shared with me is going to show every object that has a role that she also has. So there's 10 analytics objects that she has access to. And if we come look here, let's take a look. She shouldn't see overdue loans, and she should see inventory breakdown. So we don't see overdue loans. It would have been right here because it's sorted by name. It would have been between the N and the P. Inventory breakdown, she does see because that has the roles. Inventory breakdown, evening session. Now, if I'm going to just click something here, if she wants to see on a regular basis this inventory breakdown evening session, she can say add to favorites. And then it says report in favorites, and she can also remove it from favorites. I'm going to say add to favorites. And so now there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 reports which are in her favorites. What does that mean? It means when she comes to analytics, she sees those 6 here, and she can easily click them. I'm going to click it, and then it opens in a new tab. Now we're going to inventory breakdown evening session. So that's the favorites. The favorites are here in this section where it says favorites. Each Alma staff user can add favorites to his or her favorites by clicking the shared with me and then clicking add to favorites. We can even take this a widget and say add to favorites. Now this item count by library, Pareto, apples, and oranges is also going to be in the favorites. If we say analytics, now we have this one here. So it's a widget. We're going to see it's very small, but we can still add it to the favorites if we want. Anything can be added to the favorite. Even DV ones can be added. This one here is a DV. I'm going to add this to the favorite. It's called inventory breakdown. I have 2 called inventory breakdown. I'm going to, okay, fine. We'll have them both. So now inside the favorites, she clicks here and she can go right to the DV that way. So a favorite can be any kind of object. And then the user can automatically see them. If the user has a lot of favorites, I've got 7 here, but if I had a lot, I might want to search them all so I could start doing like that. and I got it right here. Okay. I'm going to remove these just to show something. Remove from favorites, remove. Oh, I'm going to remove all of them so she has no favorites. If I come in and I type here, I'm getting all of the analytics objects that I have access to. So this is searching as if I went to the shared with me and searched through here. It's only searching those that I have access to. Who am I? I have to remember that again. I'm Susan. So right now I should not find object overdue loans. So if I come in here, I don't have overdue loans. I have overlap analysis, but I don't have overdue loans. Okay. I think we get the point. I'm not going to also log in as Ellie Mae Clampett and show the opposite, that she only, let's do it very quickly, just to really make the point. So Ellie Mae, same thing. Ellie Mae should see this overdue loans that Susan Irons didn't see. If she wants to add that to her favorites, she can either come to the shared with me, 7 are shared with her, and at overdue loans, she could say add to favorites. Or she could come here and search for that overdue loans. Here it is. And go view it. And if she wants to add that as her favorite, she can come to the shared with me, add to favorites. And by the way, she shouldn't see here inventory breakdown evening session. And she doesn't. It would be at the top before IT would be IN, and it's sorted by name. Okay. Let me see if there's any questions on that. Then the report URL, which is a really nice feature. Okay, no other comments, no other questions. Everybody's still with me? Can I just get a confirmation? Because it's been quiet for a while. I get concerned when it's been quiet. It's been 10 minutes since the last chat. Okay, people are there. So let's take a look at any of these. We'll take this first one, item count by library, Pareto, apples and oranges. It's called apples and oranges because we wanted to differentiate it from a different one when we made the report. So if I want to give someone a link to this, let's get the overdue loans. That's more practical. This is a link right here. And by the way, if you notice, I can't see now, and I can't edit this, and I can't see what the roles are for this because I'm not logged in as Alicia. Alicia is the one who has the analytics designer roles, so she can edit it. I just see it this way, and I can't change anything, and I can't see the roles because I don't have. Oh, I have a circulation desk operator, but I can copy this URL. This is a hard-coded URL that goes to this report. If I stick this in the browser, let me go anywhere else first, just so I'm not beginning. Okay. If I put this in the browser now, it'll bring up that report. And it's checking to see that I'm logged in Alma. So if somebody else were to open this, I'm going to open a different browser. I'm in Chrome now. And I try to put that in, it's not going to work because I'm not logged in. And even if I was logged in, for example, here, if I were to sign out, let's get rid of these. If I were to sign out here and come in now as Susan, a different user, and she were to use that URL, new tab, so she were to try to use that URL, She can get it because she's okay for it. But someone who's not either not logged in or not with appropriate roles will not be able to see it. Here we also have cache issues. So let me go into another one. Another browser. Okay, excuse my links here. Okay. Boom. Susan. And okay, she's got the roles, she can see it. Okay, that's the URL. It's useful because somebody can bookmark it and then always go there on a regular basis whenever they want. It's a hard-coded. When I say hard-coded, I mean it's not dynamic. It's not changing by the date or by anything else. So it's in every analytics object. Let me go back here. Sorry, I got so many screens. It's in every object, and you can copy it right from here. That's the report URL. Let me see if there's any questions or comments on that. I'm going into the chat. So you don't need to, yes, you do. You need to be accessed to Alma. There are plans after May or maybe even in May that it will prompt you to log in. But in any case, you have to authenticate. You have to put in your username and password in order to see it. If you're already logged in and you have another tab in the same browser, you're fine. But if you just paste it right in, if I were to come in here and just paste it right in, let that load. If I paste this right in now, it's not going to let me because I'm not logged in anywhere. Okay, let's go on. So, put things in perspective. We created a DV workbook, added that as an Alma homepage. We created a report and made that a scheduled report, showed how it can be sent to Alma users, non-Alma users, and get sent to an FTP server. Then we made a widget inside Alma, added that as a analytics object, and then we added it to our homepage. We saw that one user did see it, one user didn't see it based on their roles. We saw how a user can go to the shared with me and then add to his or her favorites. We saw there also with our comparison of Susan Aarons and Ellie Mae Clampett, one user could see another report, the other user could only see the other report based on their roles. And now we're going to do a general overview of the whole analytics objects. Okay. So this we don't need anymore. Let's close this. Okay. And here I'm going to use the PowerPoint just as a little guide here, just to go through the different topics. We already saw the new menu and the old menu. At the very beginning, I showed how to switch back, the beginning today, how to switch to the old interface and back to the new interface. So we know in the old interface, it was called Analytics Objects List. It's also called Analytics Objects List in the new one. In the new one, it's under My Analytics. In order to see this Analytics Objects List, you need the role Analytics Administrator or General Administrator. I'm now logged in as Alicia. If I look at my details as Alicia, I will have either Analytics Administrator or I will have General System Administrator or both. But you need the Analytics Administrator in order to be able to access the Analytics Objects List, meaning in order to see this. Let's do it on this side. In order to see, this is a great example. Now I'm Susan, and I don't have the Analytics Objects List because Susan, as you recall, has these roles, which doesn't include analytics administrator or general system administrator. That's a nice example. So she doesn't see it. Now, I'm going to get rid of this other one here. Now, Alicia comes in. And she will see it because she has designs analytics. Excuse me, because she has analytics administrator right here. Shared with me, everyone sees. The Alma homepage, everyone sees. These here, the create analysis, everything under there is people with designs analytics. Okay, let's go on. So multi-select facets. Let's take a look here. So I have on this one quite a bit of analytics objects. And I may want to filter just by certain ones. And for that, one way is via the badges. These things here in this column, they're called a badge. And they're throughout various parts of the new analytics interface. And they're nice because right here on the screen, you can see exactly what it is. And you can also filter by them. For example, if now I want to see only scheduled reports, I can come here and say, I want only scheduled. And then it gives me only scheduled. And then I can even say, I want by subject area. So now I can filter by only those which are in fulfillment. That wasn't possible in the old user interface. So now I have everything with subject area fulfillment and is a scheduled report. I'm going to say here, I want all. Now I've got everything in the fulfillment subject area. So it's multifaceted. I can select more than one of these. Also by origin, whether it's out of the box means it's from the Alma folder. You will recall at the beginning of this series, we had a session on the directory structure where we spoke about the Alma folder being where Ex Libris gives the default out-of-the-box reports and dashboards. It's a read-only folder. So when we choose OTB out of the box, it's giving only those in the Alma folder. You can see the folder here. They're all in the Alma. If I change this to institution now, I still have the filter by fulfillment here. Now you'll see they're under Alma University, which is the name of my university, my institution. So we can filter by the subject area, by the different types of badges, which is whether I've subscribed to it, whether it's a home page, whether it's a widget, or whether it's scheduled. I can filter by whether it's out of the box or that I made, whether it's from Primo or from Alma. And also whether it's a dashboard, a data visualization workbook, or a report. So I multi-select on there. I can sort in many different ways. Now it's sorted, and this is how I usually have it because I like to look at the new ones I made all the time. It's sorted by object modification date. And with each of these sort options, we can also say whether we want it ascending or descending. So right now it's ascending, meaning, let me find a couple of dates. It's going from March 21st here, then to March 22nd here, then to March 28th here. So it's ascending, and then I can click here, and then it's descending. Now the most recent date is on top, March 28th, which is today. And we can also do by location, which is nice, because then it's sorting by the directory that it's in. So I don't even have to search for a directory. I can see all of those in the same directory. All of these are in a directory called DV objects, and then these are all in widget objects. Again, that has the ascending and descending. Object creator, by who created it. We see the object created by thing here. So if there's multiple people in the institution who are creating it, you can get it that way. And not only by the creation date, which we saw, also by the modification date. So those changed most recently, but not necessarily created most recently. Then we can also search. The search is by, I'm going to do it to show it. It's as if I had done, if anybody is into SQL and stuff, it's as if I had done this, surrounded it with parentheses. I looked for OANS, and I'm getting ones with the word loans in it. If I had said Orni, how did I spell that? I went an R there, sorry. ORNI, without the parenthesis at the beginning. Oh, I have those. I don't want to put those in there, sorry. I was I'm searching the users. Sorry about that. I'm in the wrong place entirely. My mistake, and excuse me. I wanted to search here. So if I were to search by Orni, now I get everything with the word morning in it. Okay, so that's how it searches. Let me just do Morny just to confirm something. Yeah, so it searches by part of a word. There's a lot of places in Alma like that. We can also search by location. So if I were to say DV objects, I had a folder like that, if I'm not mistaken. I may have called it something slightly different. So now it's finding that by the location, so I can search for everything in a certain directory, which can be very useful if I want to start moving things around in different directories. Object creator, I can search for all those created by Alicia. And these will all be created by, here you can see, created by Alicia. Okay, also while we're viewing it, in order to open one of these, I can just double click it. And we already saw that by depending on roles, even though the shared with me shows what looks like the analytics objects list, a user there wouldn't see all of the fields that are editable. When I open it here, when I double clicked it, it went by default to the split editor mode. Not split editor, split screen mode. And then when I choose one on the left, it updates on the right. This is the same with the holdings records people may have seen, the holdings record search, also the PO line task list, also the resource sharing task list, which we had sessions on. So it's the same next generation user interface. And from here, I can click here to open full page view. Now I see this in full view. I can click here again to go back to the split view. And I can drag this various ways, depending on how much of each part I want to see. And I can also change it here, view settings. So if I go to list view, that's like that. That's the full list. Or we can say split view like that. And there's the full page view, which I can get to either by dragging this. I can go to full view by clicking here, or I can go to full view from here. And notice everything is adjusting for the resolution. Here, for example, you look now at the report URL. It's 3 lines here. And then when I move over, instead of disappearing, now it's 5 lines. Now it's 7 lines because there's less room on the page. And that's how the whole list works here. For example, you see I have analytics objects list here, add new analytics objects, and under actions, I have add new primo. If my resolution were higher, I'm going to click Control plus. Now I have both of them under here because there wasn't enough room over here. And if I say Control minus, now again I have the add new analytics objects. I say Control minus again, now I have both of them here instead of the actions because now there's more room on the screen, but I'll make that a little bigger again. Okay, we're exactly at the end. Let's see if there's any chats before we close. Okay, I noticed that you have an export icon above your analytics objects next to actions. I don't have that. Is that something coming soon? You mean this one? Let me see. I will go into the current release. I'm now in the May release. If I go into the March release, let's take a look. I think that's there by standard. And if I have it and you don't, play around with your resolution too. But let's take a look. I will make this a little different. Let's go into analytics. Here, I'm in March release now. Oh, I don't have it either. Okay, so that was added in May. Yeah, I don't have it in March either. So that's in May. Okay, thanks for pointing that out. Okay, so thanks everybody. We'll be posting the recording and we'll see you next week. Bye bye. Have a nice day.